the question is really what brings you joy, not what makes you mad, what bad energy something has, I mean, it's important I'm not saying you can't acknowledge that stuff, but that shouldn't be your whole focus. It should be what does bring you joy and what do you want to keep moving forward? What's the life you want to live moving forward?
Hey, what's happening, you guys? Welcome back to the Proclivity Podcast. I am your host, Joel Cochran. I'm here with my co-host, Emily Rodella, and we have a special guest. Now, before we introduce our special guest, let's talk to you a little bit about what we're going to be diving in today. And we're going to be talking about tidying, keeping things in order. Does that matter? Does that not matter? Are you an A-type personality, B-type, C-type, whatever type that you want to be? Tidying matters. And we're going to talk about why it matters, because we have Jasmine Milligan, who is a KonMari consultant and also runs her own personal business called Upside Tidying, where she comes into your home and she helps you to be able to organize, tidy, and get rid of the things that are cluttering your space. Because listen, guys, if you have a space that's cluttered, you're going to have a mind that's cluttered. You have a mind that's cluttered, it's going to be hard to pivot and move and change. And we're all about change here at Proclivity. So we are very excited to introduce to you guys Jasmine Milligan to the show. Jasmine, hello. How are you today?
Great. Thanks so much for asking. I'm happy to be here.
I love, this is what happened, guys. We invited Jasmine into the office to be live with us. And as soon as she got here, she started tidying things up in our office. It was fantastic. We just got done with a big event. And so it was perfect that, of course, we have all these things strewn about because we've thrown all of our event stuff into one of our offices. And that's where Jasmine is right now. And I just love that we have this episode and it's happening right now. So, Jasmine, I want to dive right in. If people don't know what KonMari Method is, can you explain it and why is it important?
Absolutely. I do want to backtrack and say I help people tidy their offices too, because you said homes, but everything.
No, we know that
tidy
because you
everything.
came in and you started doing it. Yeah.
But the Marie Kondo method was started by the woman Marie Kondo, or KonMari, we call it. And she's a Japanese woman who wrote the book, The Life-Changing Magic of Tidying Up. And it's a very specific method. So if you are familiar with the proclivity method and you've gone through it, you know, like there is a beginning, an end, and a lot in the middle. And it's all important to do it in an order. And so I love that there's this similarity between what we're all doing here. And the Marie Kondo method is basically, a way to declutter and find more joy in your life. So it's really the crux of it is finding more joy. And you start with clothing and you move on to books and then papers and then kimono, which is just miscellaneous in Japanese. And then you finish with your sentimental items. So you've started with really basic things like clothes we're pretty in touch with. We wear them every day. It's how we show up in the world, how people see us. And then we graduate at the end to going through your sentimental items. So photographs, love letters, whatever feels sentimental to you. And that could be a wide range of things. And so you've practiced letting go and not always letting go. I think people get scared of this too, because they're like, you're going to make me get rid of everything, which is so not true. It could just be recognizing your things more, maybe displaying them, not having them in boxes in a garage somewhere.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So yeah, you've moved on to the end of like, okay, now I'm so in touch with myself and my things. This is easy to go through my sentimental items because those can be really hard They can bring up a lot from your past, from your childhood, even. So you're processing all these really big things. So that's sort of it in a nutshell.
And this process, what's the benefit of this process? Like, why would people want to tidy up? What are some of the like pain points that people are feeling? And then, being a consultant, what are some of the benefits that you see?
Oh, yeah. Well, some of the pain points, I mean, typically my clients come to me because they're in some sort of transition. That's what the pattern I've seen. So whether it's somebody died and they've inherited, or somebody they lived with and they don't know what to do with this person's stuff, or kids moved out, or you had
Mm,
kids and now they come with a lot of stuff and you're overwhelmed by that. Um, you quit a job, you lost a job, you retired. There's so people in transition, which is,
right.
all of us at some point or another, or quite often,
Hmm.
um, all the time. Are we transitioning into different things?
Right.
Um,
Right.
so yeah, yeah, and then people who just kind of don't know how to take care of their things. Maybe you were never
Hmm.
taught. Maybe it just doesn't come natural to you. I end up
Mm,
helping a lot of people, in those situations too. A lot of busy people, people who have
hmm.
a lot of busyness in their life.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And then what happens after the results are, oh my gosh, so many varied things. A sense of freedom from stuff, much more calm environments, joyful. I've seen so many people meet people who were single, who were wanting to meet people. And until they actually cleared their space and kind of made room for that, maybe metaphysically. um,
Yeah.
yeah, so that's happened. I've also seen somebody get a divorce after going through their things, realizing like, yeah, this is not a good relationship for me. So these
Mm,
are, I like to call them KonMari 2.0 experiments. This is like,
totally.
once you go through your stuff, then it's like
Hmm.
next level of maybe decluttering people in your life, or um yeah, for me it's been like, okay, my health, like that's next level for me. I
Yeah.
love my space and my environment, but I need to take better care of my health. So yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love that thought process, and that's from my own personal experiences of doing decluttering, or a minimalist challenge. Emily and I do it once a year, 30 days, get rid of one thing on day one, all the way to day 30, get rid of 30 things. And what I have found is that it helps me to let go of things. There's things that you don't even recognize that you're holding on to. Maybe it's an old receipt. Maybe it's a pin that you always like, but you never use. It could be food that you're like, I'm never ever am going to eat that. Like, move on from it. And when we start building courage to be able to move on from the material things, we can start building courage to move on from that job, to move on from that relationship, to move on from that business, to move on from what we think we ourselves are. And we can go, well, why am I holding on to this idea that I have to be busy? Why am I holding on to this idea that I'm insecure and I'm unable? When we start opening ourselves up physically, we can start opening ourselves up mentally. And every single time that I do a cleanse or a tidy or a minimalist challenge, there is clarity that comes with it. There is peace that comes with it. Because it's the good old saying, right? We don't need as much as we think we need, right? And the less that we have, the more we have, actually. More time, the more peace, the more calm that we have. And so if somebody is listening right now and they're like, yeah, you're right. Like, things are like crazy around here. And I just know I need a cleanse. what would be your first advice when it comes to getting started with something like this?
Mm. To congratulate yourself for acknowledging it, first of all.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, just pat yourself on the back. Like you've acknowledged that maybe things aren't going well and you could make a change. And then you could call me for one,
That's
because
right.
I can help coach you through it all. You could do it yourself, of course, like anything, right? You could,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, like it. I mean, I often compare it to working out. It's like you could work out on your own, of course. Does a coach help? Yeah, 100%.
Right.
So, yeah, you could get Marie Kondo's book. I mean, I love the minimalist challenges and all that. And it's so exciting to know that you've both done that. This is so different in that it forces you to look at every single thing you own. It is very thorough. And so if you're really, I would say choose this method if you're like, I'm going to go deep. I'm going to just really dive in and go for it. Then this is for you. If you're like, I don't really care, I'd say, yeah, to do a minimalist challenge or something. It's like just start building some awareness. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but this is if you are like, I want a life changing experience. You're going to get it from this, no doubt,
Mm-hmm.
because you are
Mm-hmm.
going to be looking at yourself through the lens of your things and why you hold on to things. So, my
Wow.
job as a coach is, I just end up asking a lot of questions. Um,
As any good coach
yeah.
should. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Any good coach should. So, I mean, speaking of the two, what would you say is the biggest differences between the minimalist challenge of somebody just going like, oh, I need to do some spring cleaning, right? Because people, what they tend to do, Jasmine, is they go, literally it's springtime. They have it in their mind that they're supposed to clean, and they go, okay, I'm just gonna pull everything out and just have this like mass chaos, pull everything out, throw everything away, kind of thing. How is that different from the method that you teach and you coach?
Hmm. I think you miss out when you do that if you're not asking the right questions. So I think you can very
Mm-hmm.
easily go crazy like that. Like, I'm going to go for it and get big and pull it all out. But if you're not asking the right questions of yourself, you're going to miss out on huge lessons. So holding the item, stopping, breathing, slowing down, and saying, okay, I'm ready to let go of this, but why am I so quick to let go of it? Some people are really too quick at letting go of things, I've noticed.
Mm,
They don't slow down. That's rare. Usually people have a harder time and they want to hold on to stuff.
right.
um, I was one of those people, though, that was like, screw this. I don't like this thing anymore. And I had this bad attitude, actually. And it took me doing a practice client when I was still being trained, who was really mindful, very slow, conscientious. And she would hold something and go like, oh, I love this thing. Oh, I love it so much. And she put it back slowly. And I was like, oh, I did this all wrong. Because it was very much in haste for me before I was, had learned the method completely. And I ended up going back and redoing my whole home, because the
Mm,
question is really what brings you joy, not what makes you mad, what bad energy something has. I mean, it's important I'm not saying you can't acknowledge that stuff, but that shouldn't be your whole focus. It should be what does bring you joy, and what do you want to keep moving forward? What's the life you want to live moving forward? So, did that answer your question, Joel?
yeah, we're no, totally. We're going down that direction, and what I want people to understand is really the difference between the two. And you've brought this up a couple times of being able to go, hey, I hold on to this and I get in tune with this. And you gave a perfect example, because there's times for me where I can just go trash can, trash can, trash can, trash can. right? I don't want it to take up any more of my time and my headspace and so on and so forth. And there has been times where I've gotten rid of something, and it could be something as simple as, oh, I'm just going to delete all these emails right now, every single one. Then I come back and I go, oh, wait a second, I need that email. And now I'm really missing that email, right? So I believe most people are in tune with tidying up and throwing away. But there's a specific part of this method of really being able to get in tune with the thing and what that's like.
Yeah, that would be the main difference between a minimalist challenge and KonMari tidying is more mindfulness, I think. I think, yeah, the minimalist thing is like, okay, yeah, pick something to let go of every day. It's kind of easy, honestly. I think you could pick
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
a piece of trash that you've left out.
And I have.
Yeah.
And I have.
Okay, there you go. That's easy.
Mm-hmm.
This is much more challenging in that you have to, what if you're like, I got rid of everything that I really like? And this is actually coming from a different point of view too, of like, you don't have to let go of anything. This is not being minimalist. I lean more towards that myself, but that's not what I teach people.
Mm.
Minimalism is very different in that you are living very minimally. Your impact is low. KonMari is only about living with things that bring you joy. You could have
Mm.
5,000 pencils in your collection, and it's okay if they all bring you joy. So does that make
Wow.
more sense that there is a big difference actually and that it's not minimalism?
Yeah. Yeah.
One of the things I noticed too is it just makes you more aware of your spending habits, your shopping habits, how you
Mm.
move through life and consuming things. So I would
Right.
challenge you, Joel, to say, like, okay, when it was like trash, 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 did you pause and go, why did I buy this thing to begin with if I was so fast to throw it away? And maybe it
Right.
was actual trash. Um,
Right.
but maybe it was just like, I don't know, something you on a whim bought. Like, I don't see
Totally.
you doing that, but
Mm-hmm.
plenty of us do,
Yeah.
you know.
Well, and there was plenty of things that I got to a point. There was even actually times where I felt anxious because the day before was 21 things, and now I got 22 things to get rid of. And so I'm like, gosh, dang, what am I going to find to get rid of at this point? And so now it became a checklist instead of an emotional check in. And that it, correct. I was hitting the target. What's the target? Hit the target. Um, and again, at the end, did it feel like, oh, okay, like my house is just cleaner and tidier, and those drawers are pulled out, and so on and so forth. But I'm really seeing a difference in terms of the method that you're talking about. Of hey, what if I took my time? It wasn't like at the end of the day, and I'm like, oh shoot, that's right, I got 23 things I got to get rid of. What is this? Oh, here's a speck of dust on the ground. I'll count that as one.
Desperation. This is all about
For real.
abundance. Completely different,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like
Right.
subtle, but night and day. So KonMari
Mm-hmm.
is so much about moving into an abundant mindset instead of sense of lack. And even I would
Mm-hmm.
say challenge that the minimalist thing is kind of a lack mentality of like, yeah, what else can I get rid of? Like you're forcing yourself. Like, why? Why? Why
Mm-hmm.
did you do this? Why did you decide to do
Yeah.
this challenge? Is it working?
Yeah.
You know,
Right.
KonMari is like, no, let's move into abundance, like out of our heads, drop into your heart. What feels good? It's really just about feeling things. It's so much more feminine than masculine, like, gotta get it done, and
Right. Right.
I notice it's harder for guys. Um, I'm stereotyping for sure, but I do
I
notice
believe
that
it.
guys are like, what is this like get in your heart thing? And, it's like, you can do it too.
Mm-hmm.
You can do it.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah. So it's very different actually.
I, I I totally see it. And now reflecting a little bit more, what I'm hearing you say is, when we take a look at the check the list, the minimalist, it really is okay. Just get rid of, and we're actually out of tune with the things that we purchased. Why did I purchase that in the first place? What does this mean to me? And with the KonMari, it's tuning in and being able to allow yourself that space. There's some meditation to this, and so this actually takes some time. And so, what was your suggestion with people who feel like they're tight on time to get started on, instead of just dumping things out, being able to tidy things up?
Put it on your calendar. Literally, like mark out 3 hours. And I always tell people, do it in the morning. Don't do it at the end of your day or even in the middle of your day. Do it in the morning when you haven't made 10,000 other decisions, because you get decision fatigue, and it is all about checking in with yourself and how does this feel, and then making a decision based on that. You're going to be so confused later in the day, even if you just
Right.
made coffee, brought your kids to school, and didn't even go to work. Like, you've still made so many decisions already, right?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I always, when I book sessions, they're in the morning. Like, when do you get up and you're awake by? That's when we're going to start.
Cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. And
So,
so
so block the
ideally,
time
hey, we
out.
want to block the time out, do it in the morning, and then let's go through a little step by step. I have this mug here.
Oh, Nevada, you and our go pack.
And so if I'm sitting here with this mug, I just grabbed it first thing in the morning, and I'm going through this process. Say, am I supposed to start in my kitchen, my entire house? Do I section this out? Uh, what's your suggestion there?
Yeah, I stick to the method, which is clothing first. So you clean out your,
Oh, okay.
you do your clothing, and I don't even say your clothing closet, because people have clothes in their garage. People have clothes
Good point. Wow.
in their
Yeah,
attic. Sometimes people have clothes in their basement. Like, there's clothes all over the place in your car. So you
that's
do
right.
clothes.
I
You
do.
pull clothes from wherever they are in your home, and you
Gotcha.
put them in a pile, and you start going
Oh,
one by one. And clothing can
wow.
be very overwhelming, because we live in a culture where people shop a lot for clothes.
Mm-hmm.
So
I believe
yeah,
that.
that's
Okay.
where you start. And I really believe that KonMari intuitively starts with clothing, because it's easy. Like, we wear it, we feel it, like fabric,
Mm,
you're pretty like, oh yeah, I don't like that itchy wool, or um
right.
that one makes me sweaty, or whatever, right? So it's easy.
Right.
It's an easy place to start. It can be overwhelming by the amount, but it's still easy in that each piece you pick up and hold is like, okay, yeah. Um, does that make sense,
Okay.
as far as,
It
like, yeah,
does.
that's where you
Oh,
start.
100%.
Then you
Okay.
move on to books.
Well,
People have a lot of resistance to books. I find it
ooh,
fascinating.
ooh, yeah, right. Yeah, a lot of connection there. Well, what about this connection to this cup? What would you walk me through if this was,
Well,
if I'm
first,
looking at
before
this
we
cup
would
and I'm going
even
home?
start the session, I just want to give you a heads up. We would do a meditation. So I come into
Oh,
your home, say thank you for having me. We sit down, we kind of chat a little bit, and just get comfortable. And then we're going to do a guided meditation
wow.
with me. So, kind of getting you out of that nervous feeling of like, there's a stranger in my house and we're going to go through all my stuff, and oh my gosh. And I mean, it's really
Mm,
kind of scary, you know?
sure,
It
sure.
can be. And so, yeah, I like to take people through a meditation, and we do a visualization too, and kind of write
Cool.
down some goals. Like, what do you want your life to look like? How do you want your day to start? How do you want it to end? So yeah, that's where I start from the very beginning. Okay, say now we're on to kitchen stuff. Joel's got this cup.
Yeah.
He's pulled out all of his coffee mugs. So you're gonna hold that. You could even close your eyes if you're feeling a little, distracted. And you're just gonna
Mm-hmm.
ask yourself that question: does this bring me joy? Does this feel good? What's the energy of this actual mug like? What do you think, Joel?
Mm. Um, I'm connected. I'm connected to it because I went to the University of Nevada, and It's not my cup. It's at the office.
Okay.
So I actually didn't
It's
buy
not
it.
even yours, so you
And
really
so
shouldn't be tidying it. That's a rule.
I
Do
don't
not tidy
I
other
don't
people's
feel
things.
I don't feel joy. Now if I had my other cup that said best day ever, that would bring me a lot of joy. And so I have somewhat joy because it's the wolf pack and I really enjoy the wolf pack. But beyond that, I don't feel fully
Not
connected to
connected to
this.
it. So at this point, if it were your mug, you can't do it because it's not yours. If it were, just hypothetically, if this was your mug, you would say, thank you, coffee mug. You've brought me service. You've held my coffee that I drank joyfully, but I no longer need you. Thank you. And you're going to
Thank
pass
you.
it on. So it's very energetic.
I like that.
It's
I like that.
moving things forward with good energy too. Not like, oh, yeah, I hate this mug. Bye. It's like,
Oh yeah, that's
no,
what I would have done.
thank you. What'd you say?
That's what I would have done
Okay.
for sure.
Yeah. You got to know that like whoever gets that mug next, that energy is in that mug. If you
That's right.
believe that everything is made of energy. I mean,
Yeah.
you don't have to
Yeah.
buy into that to do this process, by the way. But that is sort of,
And
Marie Kondo is Japanese and Shinto Buddhist, I think. And
yeah,
don't quote me on that. And so they believe everything has energy.
100% agree as well.
Yeah, I
Would
do
agree as
too.
well.
But yeah, I'm just saying you don't have to
Well,
believe that to do this. It
yeah,
is not a religious experience.
right,
Yeah,
right. But it's an
it
energetic
is
experience for
energetic.
sure. And being able to move that energy is vital.
Yeah, so moving things forward,
And
passing them along. I mean, I also
well,
practice now Swedish death cleaning. We don't have time to get into that probably, but
Google that, you guys.
yeah. Swedish death cleaning, the gentle art of Swedish death cleaning, written by, I can't remember the author's name. It's a beautiful book. It's short and sweet. And it's about letting go of things, passing them on before you're gone. Before you're gone.
Mm,
What if you're like, I don't really
yes,
use this thing anymore, but it's really special. Like, pass it on to your nephew, Joel, or, Emily's
right.
got a kid now. Like, put it in a little box for them or whatever. So just giving you
Well,
examples.
I love it. I love it. Well, this has been really this has helped me because I've done the minimalist challenge multiple times and I've recognized I just kind of throw things away. And even you just walking me through that experience of being able to go, I do believe in energy being passed forward and having an energetic field and being able to pass that on and thinking to myself, wow, I get the opportunity to be able to put energy into this to be able to pass on is really rewarding for me. And I really look forward to being able to move through that. Emily, uh, we're wrapping things up, but what do you think? What have I mean? You've been kind of on the sideline here listening. What's your take?
Yeah, what's been really helpful for me is the fact of one, scheduling it in and knowing in my mind, I'm like, okay, I'm not going to get my whole house done in one day. I'm sure that's impossible for everyone. Right. So think when you said categories like clothes, oh, and then kitchen, but then even within kitchen, mugs, like that's really helpful in my mind to be like, oh, like maybe I would make a checklist of or a list of like, perfect. Yes. So that's helpful in my mind. So I'm not overwhelmed. Because when I think of decluttering my house or tidying my house, I get overwhelmed initially. And so knowing that there's like a method, like you said, to it, that sounds way more inviting, and then putting it on the calendar. So if people were to start off in their home or with you, either way, there's method. So I
Yeah,
appreciate
it's
that.
very, very strategic.
Mm.
And it is created so that you don't go into overwhelm.
Gotcha.
That's the whole
Mm.
point.
Oh, yes. Love
Mm-hmm.
that.
Yeah. So you
Okay.
break it all down into subcategories. Mm-hmm.
Cool. That's it. Thank you so much, Jasmine.
Cool. Well, Jasmine, if people are interested in getting in contact with you, like, whoa, I really like this and what you talked about, how do they get a hold of you?
You can find me on my website, which is upsidetidying.com. You can find me on Instagram, which is also upside tidying. And those have my phone number and email. And yeah, it's the easiest way. And I'd love to help
Cool.
find more joy
Cool.
for all of you listening.
And And what's the first step with that? Is it usually a consultation?
Yeah, I do a free consultation, totally free of charge.
Cool.
You can hang out on the phone. I can even come by your place, FaceTime, whatever,
Awesome.
hear what your issues are, and decide how best to move forward.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, you guys, if you are in the Reno Tahoe area and you are interested in going through this method, we're a big believer of coaches and having coaches. Your results amplify immensely when you have somebody who has gone through it, who knows it, and can help you through it. So, you guys, if you're interested, please, please, please reach out to Jasmine to be able to tidy up your life. Jasmine, thank you so much for coming on to the show. We are wrapping this up, guys. Episode 140. We're going to be diving into episode 141 next week. And until we meet again,
Best day ever.
Best day ever.
best day ever.